Today, we're once again talking about the absolute scumbags from Backyard Breaks because the whole news story regarding Grant has gone very, very mainstream with a News Max segment. This goes to things I spoke about in my last video, in particular around unwanted eyes coming towards this industry, things becoming a bit more mainstream that's going to have significant repercussions across the board. And I think this is the tipping point. Now, if you did not see my last video, I'm going to recap a fair bit of those talking points today, but also sprinkle in some new things. But obviously, before I get into the detail, I need to show you what was, talked about. And this was brought to us by Cage Lawyer. I think he only posted this in the last 30 minutes or so, and is a pretty big deal in my opinion. Now, if you're not watching Cage, please go ahead and check him out. I'm assuming you guys do. I've referenced him many times on the channel, but he made reference to a video on Newsmax. They did a segment on Backyard Breaks that went for about a minute, 2 minutes. I'm going to play it for you now and then share my thoughts.
Like sports, they like the memorabilia, they like the trading cards. Well, that's one of the largest online platforms called Whatnot, or the username is called Whatnot, with children of all ages watching, just had their top dealer discussing his 6-year-old daughter's breasts and starting an OnlyFans account for her. And I'm warning you, the content you're about to hear is graphic. Keep in mind, this is supposed to be a kid-friendly platform for trading cards. And because of that perception, it has no regulatory capability for parents.
Hey, Paul, pierce my like I'm his girlfriend. I think if I have a daughter, I'm going to have her pierce him at 6 years old.
It's a good age to do it.
Anthony and De'Aaron Fox. Is that all right?
It's a good age.
That's a good age, right? Emotion 6 years old. Pierce him up early. Get her pierced up early.
Just do it at birth.
While they do have a code of conduct, they don't appear to be enforcing it. In fact, many people have reported this guy in light of that broadcast, and they were banned for commenting on his specific feed. But some users have even received this message here. Quote, "You are banned from this live stream. Trolling, being disrespectful, and other bad behavior may lead to a permanent ban on Whatnot." You could be kicked off for harassment for reporting wildly inappropriate content. Why? Why would a platform side with an inappropriate vendor? Money. And you can witness his profits in real time because they're posted on the platform. This guy can make as much as 100 to 200 grand a day, and this is only one of his many accounts, which means the platform's profits as much as maybe 15% from that. So of course they're not going to ban their cash cow. What's even worse, this guy moves so many trading cards that a lot of these companies have affiliate deals with him, and they give him discount rates on all these cards and sponsorships. You ever heard them speak out? No, your kid.
Now, as you can see there, they did a really good job summarizing the whole situation. There was nothing really new. They just highlighted the fact that there's significant amounts of money being made, Whatnot have not said anything, and how they're sort of interlinked and aligned to so many businesses within this space that they've also remained silent and not done anything about it. Now, there was a few things off base with what they said. I think they focused on Whatnot being a platform for kids. Obviously, you need to be over 18 in the US, I believe, to go ahead and use it. It might even be 21. So that was incorrect, but the messaging, the theme behind why what they did was inappropriate, I think is really important. And if we go to the things I spoke about in my last video, like I referenced in the intro, they're repeat offenders when it comes to stuff like this. But my cause for concern is not just these guys getting away with it. It's, well, what does it mean when this thing goes more mainstream, like it has over here with Newsmax? Now, they are a cable news channel. I'm not based in the US. I'm not sure how big they actually are, but the fact that this has gone mainstream, I think, is very important. And the thing I sort of talked about over here was that we're just waiting. We're on a seesaw. We're teetering on the edge of something coming to the attention of people that can actually make a difference in this industry, i.e. regulators, lawmakers, and saying, well, what else is going on here that we don't like or we want to try and get those tax revenues from? You've now got a news channel talking about it. People have obviously complained. If that goes to some former legislator and they go ahead and look at Whatnot and they say, well, this is gambling. What's the difference between this and a sports book? What's the difference between this and going and playing a poker machine or something, right? There's all these things that are aligned, and people will defend it because they'll say that, when you open a box of cards, you're getting something back, so it's very different to gambling. But my whole point behind it, I don't want to get into the nitty gritty of it, is that you're going to have somebody look at this and say, well, I can get some tax revenue off the back of that. And then what does that mean off the back of that? People are going to come in and start looking and peeking and prying everywhere. This stuff, we don't want to be mainstream. I've talked about regulation for many years, as again, I did reference in this video, and it's going to be a slippery slope the second people come on board. So is this the tipping point? Is this the first step in this happening? I kind of hope that it's not, because I don't really want to see this industry get regulated. But I also kind of hope it is, because I want to see more accountability come. The fact that Whatnot was allowed to stay silent for so long and come out with a pretty piss-weak comment around just suspending Grant, I think is unacceptable. The fact that Panini has not said anything, the fact that PSA has not said anything when PSA themselves have aligned with them, as I did again reference in this video over here. They did a paid partnership in October last year. These things are not good enough. So we need to see public pressure come their way to say, hey guys, you need to be better. I sort of said in my last video as well that these companies are sort of here and they want to charge us all this amount of money. I've spoken about this for 3 or 4 years now. The same words you're hearing now, spoken about many times. People are probably sick of it. These companies are charging you more and more, but they're maintaining the same level of crappy risk appetite they did when they charge you $100. That stuff does not fly. If you want to be treating this as a premium service, you need to give us premium services back as a customer. And that unfortunately means that people like this need to be held accountable. And some people will say, well, they're just jokes. But the thing you need to remember is those jokes go out the window when you're getting paid to speak on behalf of another company. When they're up there on a stream ripping cards, they're on behalf of Whatnot. They're talking on behalf of Whatnot. They're talking on behalf of PSA, who they have alignments with. They're talking on behalf of Panini and Topps if they have direct accounts with them. They're talking on behalf of every other sponsor they have. You have different rules applied to you when you want, to start taking more money, right? If you want the money, you need to take the heat and the respect that comes with it. So, that's my thought process. And I think this is a bit of a slippery slope, and I want to hear what you guys have to say down below. And it goes to other things too, right? I'm rambling now, but, we went pretty hard at Jeff Wilson in the last couple of days because his response to the whole situation was dog shit, right? They came out with their first, apology. Grant did, and Jeff basically said, well, I'm glad they apologized. I hope they learn from it. But he sort of just gave them the soft stick and didn't really dig deeper. And now he comes out days later saying he thought Backyard Breaks would have more things done to them. He thought Whatnot would go after them. He's sorry that he wasn't more aggressive in his initial response. And that's not good enough, in my opinion, Jeff. You needed to go hard earlier. It was pretty black and white that you needed to go hard earlier. And someone like him that has, hundreds of thousands of subscribers in this space, and he has connection with all these top dogs in the industry, right? All the CEOs, etc. He could have done a lot more. He could have put a lot more pressure on Whatnot, and he could have said, hey, Whatnot, we're not going to break on your platform. And if Jeff's, ability doesn't really impact their bottom line because they're only a small portion of it, he could have talked to other dealers and said, hey, let's do the same sort of thing. Let's get together and get these guys off here because this is unacceptable. And I want to hear what you guys have to say down below on that. So I think this is a bit of a slippery slope. I wanted to quickly get this out for you guys because it's one of those ones that I spoke about just the other day, and people scoffed at it. People said I was an idiot. People said this would never be covered by the mainstream. Again, I don't know how big Newsmax actually is in the grand scheme of things, but that's something that we've not seen before. And we could see, more conversations off the back of this because I think this is we're teetering on the edge of something pretty big happening here. And I hope it's not the case, but you guys know what I mean by saying that. I hope people that do bad things get held accountable, but this industry does not need to be regulated because it's going to be the worst thing for consumers down the line. And whilst it might bring some really good things for businesses and uphold standards, it's going to be worse for consumers. And that's why I've always gone ahead and said, businesses don't know what they're in for, right? They need to self-regulate before somebody else comes in and does it for them. And Whatnot had the opportunity here, and had Whatnot come out and said, hey guys, get the fuck out of here. We don't like what you're doing. This is unacceptable. We don't stand by this. Maybe they wouldn't have had this article posted, this news segment made, and then maybe they wouldn't be getting inquiries from lots of people today like I'm sure they are. So anyway, that's sort of it. Let me know your thoughts down below. I was going to have a weekly news video today, or I was going to record it today and release it tomorrow. I'm going to push that back a couple of days. So let me know if there's anything you want captured in that video. And yeah, I'll see you guys in the next one. Cheers.